Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. Let's start the hour with a little bit of Saints football. I can come up with some real reasons for a lot of the Saints' issues this year. Clearly, number one, there was a culture issue in the building that has become very, very evident since Dennis Allen has moved on. Clear? Yeah. I can come up with a pretty good explanation for the Saints' passing game kind of flatlining. Your offensive line was in shambles. Chris Olave has had multiple concussions. Rashid Shaheed got hurt. You were playing with guys that you signed off the street, like MVS. Like, I get why the Saints have had some issues in the passing game. I understand the running game issues. Taysom Hill went out. Your offensive line was banged up. Got it. Makes a lot of sense. But I can't quite explain with as much clarity why the Saints have not rushed the passer better than they have this year. And that's something I think they need to do Sunday and moving forward. And it's not just the sack number at 25. That's 23rd in the league in terms of sacks. And I can kind of explain that away to an extent because if you lose 7 games in a row, a lot of times you're behind. A lot of times teams are just running it on you. You're not going to pile up a lot of just sacks. And that can slightly explain the 25 sacks, which is 23rd in the league. But that doesn't explain pass rush win rate. And that's a next-gen stat, and it's something that they chart weekly. And I just take their word for it, but I feel like they're probably not just making it up. The Saints only win on 34% of their pass rushes. That is 28th in the NFL. The only teams worse than New Orleans in pass rush win rate this year, Atlanta, who's had a terrible defense, Carolina, who is the worst franchise in the league, Jacksonville, who's right there with them, and then Arizona, who's actually had a good year, but they're not rushing the passer very well. That's not the company you want to keep rushing the passer. And it surprised me a little bit because I haven't looked at this week and really not even last week because the Saints didn't have a game, and I wasn't diving into a lot of Saints statistics last week. We were talking about a lot more bigger picture things with New Orleans after that second win and kind of where things go from here. We talked about whether or not they can make the playoffs. We talked about whether or not Bryan Bresee was a viable candidate to stay as the head coach and to keep Clint Kubiak. We did a lot of big picture, not a lot of like statistical analysis. And I'm back in that now as I start looking at this Rams game. Bryan Bresee leads the Saints in sacks. He's got 5.5. If I extrapolate that out a little bit more and Bryan Bresee ends the year with like 8 sacks, that's a really nice go of it in year 2 for your first-round draft pick. I think that's excellent. Now, you got to get there. He's got 5.5, but that's pretty good work from the interior of the defensive front. Carl Granderson only at 4.5 sacks. Now, those can come in bunches, and if he has a 3-sack game here at some point and then finishes with that requisite, that 10 that you're kind of looking for out of him, I would suggest that that's a good go. But Chase Young hasn't been uber effective, just 3.5 sacks. Had the 1 strip sack in the Atlanta game that was a really impactful play, but hasn't shown up as much as we thought. I lauded that move when they made it to get Chase Young. I said, look, I don't know if the Saints are going to be very good, but this is such a low-risk maneuver that does have high upside because he's one of the most gifted physical freaks in the NFL. When he's healthy, he can be a terror. And I think he's been healthy. He just hasn't been wildly productive. I wouldn't say it's been a bust of a signing, and he has made some plays in the run game. But 3.5 sacks at this point is disappointing, I would say, for him. And then you've got Peyton Turner, who's added 2. You've only had 1 from Cam Jordan. And it's just not enough collectively. And this is a group with Bresee and with certainly Granderson and then potentially Young that you could have theoretically kind of tried to build around if you could re-sign Young. I don't think anybody has delusions of grandeur at this point that Cam Jordan's going to re-find his ability to rush the passer and come up with a 9 or 11 sack season. Those days are gone. He had a career worst year last year. This one's going to be worse than that. Now, he wasn't playing as many snaps. He has played more since Dennis Allen was fired. But the point remains, Cam Jordan's time as a Pro Bowl player is done. He's going into the Saints Hall of Fame. He might go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But his time as a productive pass rusher is done. But there are some guys here that you would hope would be impact pieces moving forward. You haven't seen anything from Isaiah Foskey. And you signed a couple defensive tackles in free agency before the year, and it hasn't been great. So I just feel like this is an aspect that the Saints need to improve on. In the same way that I feel like the offensive line is making strides, I feel like the defensive line is backing up a little bit. For so long, the Saints were really, really good on the edges and in the middle. They were elite in run defense. They did a good job of rushing the passer. And now I look up, and it's not necessarily that productive. And you look at this Rams team that the Saints will play on Sunday, and they like to throw the football. Sean McVay wants to throw the ball. They're 9th in the NFL in pass attempts. They've got a rookie. And it's a team that is going to lean on throwing the football. But the Saints have to prove they can get after the passer to create some negative plays. I'm as gung-ho as anybody to see these Saints corners, Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid McKinstry, continue to work through the last month and a half of the season, because I want to see kind of what you've got back there. A lot of this is just evaluating some of the young pieces. And I think Bresee has been good, and I think Granderson has got a chance. But as a whole, this group has not done a great job of getting after the passer. And when you're 28th in the NFL in pass rush win rate, you're not affecting the quarterback enough to be a championship-level team. There just aren't a lot of teams in the NFL, the way the game is played now, that can't win in the pass rush game and can be elite-level teams. And you're seeing that with the teams I rattled off that aren't winning in the pass rush, and the Saints are right there lumped in with them. And oh, by the way, they lost 7 games in a row. So I'll be looking for some of that in the game on Sunday, see if the Saints can't get back there and make some plays against a quarterback that doesn't move great at this point in his career. We'll see. Saints will play the Rams in the Superdome coming up on Sunday. You can catch that over on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, this weekend. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.